What about my sweat equity? Sweat equity.
Did you see it?
Good.
Sweat equity. My sweat
Did you see
equity.
it?
What's that?
Did you see it?
Equity.
The documentary? No. Sorry. It's okay. We can ask questions about it.
It's okay. We can talk in the intro.
What about
Well,
my sweat equity?
We didn't see the documentary We Are Mermaids. We're sitting here with director David Moray.
Moray. Yeah.
I can't
Like
read.
the eel.
And producer Renee Ogurta.
Ugarte.
I fucked it up. Why did I even try? I should have just said David and Renee.
A couple of Spanish classes will get you there.
It'll be in this.
It'll be in the show notes.
I can't read English out loud. This is why I do stand up. I can't the big thing I have a problem with is reading something out loud in front of people. I don't know why. Always been that way. So, but I can go up and do an hour stand up. Not great.
Should see him on
stand-up.
audition. It's really weird.
Well, the audition's even worse because it was the last thing we did was with friend of the program, and he runs a podcast out of here called Nerd Wars. Is Andy Signor, and we met him. He was trying to get a hold of some Tampa guys that are in the comedy universe, and asked us to audition for this thing for one of their clients. And it was worse because it's Eric and myself and him. We just met this guy, really cool. We all got along, and then he's like, "You guys want to audition still?" It's like, fuck. Eric wants to.
Yeah. And then he was like, do you want to leave the room or should
And
we
I
go?
got
And
to
I was like, nope. We're staying, bro.
I even got to see him do his, and I still couldn't read it. Because
even
I'm already
after
thinking, I'm already in that zone thinking about how I'm going to fuck up, and then you fuck up worse, right? So there's some weird, I got some block with that.
So maybe you could do it in Spanish next time.
Shit,
and
man.
see what you
I'm
comes out of.
going to be a gringo. I thought I have a romantic version of myself. I moved to Costa Rica and I learned a bunch of languages and I could.
In the future, right? You don't tell this to women at bars.
Please don't.
Well, yeah, I do.
Oh.
But they
That-
don't know they're not part of it.
Oh, okay. You won't be there, but I'll be enjoying myself.
And by bars, you mean to myself out loud.
Right, yeah.
Because I don't go out. I
Yeah.
just work and hang out with the kids.
Wish you would leave.
Thanks Behind the Glass to John Paul from Tampaniac and Joseph, our associate producer, that wrangled these guys out of the Gasparilla International Film Festival in Tampa, right in our neighborhood. In
Be honest, was he annoying?
Well,
Was
he was
did
a
he
true
get
mermaid.
Oh,
I was too drunk to notice anything.
okay, good. So you're doing good,
You got
Joseph. Go after the
Cosby'd
drunk
here?
guy.
So. yeah. I got me too'd my way into
Hey
this thing.
man, look, that's grit, buddy. I like it. I like where your head's at.
Plucking them.
So tell us about We Are Mermaids. What's it about? And then I want to get into kind of like the whole business side of it. I guess the sweat equity you put into it.
Well, it's about the people of Wikiwachu Springs. It's not just about the park. Which have you been?
Oh yeah.
Yep. We grew up here. We're the rare people that grew up.
I
here.
actually did as well.
Oh, nice.
So I left in 2006 to go to film school, and I live in New York now. And I always just kind of wanted to go back and do a film about it because nobody has. And so it's about the park, and it's about the people of the park, and it talks about the history and how it was a big, successful roadside attraction until Disney came and kind of ruined that for everyone. And it's the last remaining roadside attraction, and this kind of effect that it has on the performers who get to go into this space that seems to suspend reality. So any sort of physical limitation, time doesn't exist in there, and once they leave, they have this draw to come back. They're haunted by dreams of swimming. So there's this huge urge for all of them to come back to the water.
Oh, it's weird.
So you kind
I
of
didn't think
see
about that.
Huh?
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I actually went there when we brought our daughter and we were going to go see the mermaid show, and they're like, today's the 50th anniversary, and they brought back the women who were like the original mermaids.
Yeah.
Came out and did the mermaid show in their big bathing suits.
And it features them
Sweet
as well.
One Piece.
Okay.
So it shows that it features them and tells their story about how their urge to come back and what they do in order to just get into the water and how they still perform. They're, in their late 50s to one's turning 80 this year, and they still can do underwater flips 30 feet below
Yeah.
the surface for 30
So,
minutes. It's
just for
crazy.
people who don't know, it's a show where women put on tails and they
Yeah.
get in there. And so how are they breathing?
It's about an hour north of Tampa, by the way, too.
Yeah.
So it is
Yeah.
like it's kind of a destination ish, but it is a roadside attraction at the same. It's more of like you're passing through the west coast of Florida, driving up there. So for those not familiar with the kind of, we have a lot of people outside of Florida that never been here.
Yeah.
So I'm always trying to get
Well,
the
it's on
location.
19, which is it used to be the main thoroughfare.
Yeah,
before
it was
the
the only
interstate got put
way
in.
from the north to Miami. So it was just kind of like this middle ground where people would stop and
Think about what is it? State Road 66. Like how that had some that was an old school sung about kind of highway. US 19's like that, just not famous.
Just without
I'm just
the
saying,
song.
like it's if you've ever been on
They
that
are
highway,
both roads.
they're like obsolete
Yes.
almost at this point.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're usable, but it's not the interstate or freeway or whatever the fuck you call it.
Anyways,
depending on
How do they breathe?
They breathe through hoses. It was created on day one, basically. It's compressed air that goes through a long tube. They actually look like upside down marionettes because there are all these cords hanging from them,
Right.
which is the tube. And they adjust the level of air that comes out of it, so it blows out. And it's very strong and it's very loud.
It has a whole technique, and
Yeah,
it
you-
was created by a diver that didn't want the whole.
Get up right
Oh,
to-
sorry.
yeah.
It was created by a diver, so he just didn't want all this equipment behind him, and he thought it would just be more, beautiful if this woman would
he
actually.
was a Navy SEAL or something like that. I should know this because I made the movie.
I would assume something like that. Someone who's running that has to be like the guy that's like, oh, I'm running this. I got to jump in whenever I got to jump in and take care of things.
Yeah.
Navy SEAls are pretty big
He's
badasses.
maybe not a Navy SEAL. He's something like that. I'm drawing a blank.
if
Spend
it's
some
that
time
old,
underwater.
if
for
it's that
sure.
old and he's a male that opened it, I'm guessing he was in the military at some point.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a
And
pretty safe bet.
It was a term. I want to say a frog.
They call them frogmen.
Oh yeah, before they even had the Navy SEAls.
Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
so
So
he's
I
probably
think it was
underwater
that.
demolition guy.
But
Yeah.
that's still a term. Sometimes they refer to Navy SEAls now as frogmen. I think.
Okay,
I'm
then
pretty
maybe
sure.
let's go ahead and just assume that's what he was
Horn
for the
ninja.
time being.
He's a badass. How about that? He's
He's
more
a
man than
badass.
all four of us
He was
combined.
Aquaman.
Yeah.
just watch the documentary for nothing but to find out what he was in the 40s.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he created a system where you can breathe without the use of tanks and all that oppressive material that scuba divers wear, and they never changed it. They still use it today.
Aren't they? Okay, so they're swimming around. They don't have the tubes on them, right? They go down and they get a
They'll drop
breath,
the
or do they
tubes,
have?
yeah.
Okay, yeah. I
So-
was just trying to visualize it.
So they'll take a breath from the hose, they'll toss it away,
Mhm.
and they'll do a couple of flips, and then they'll go back down and get it. There's somebody in the audio booth next door, on the side of the theater, who you could talk to the mermaids through. There's speakers underwater, so they communicate, and
Oh,
they'll be
that's
like,
cool.
"Hey, Stacy, the hose is to the left."
And I think that was a very important part of the film too, like filming in there, which is an underwater theater, and just experiencing how they talk to each other through a mic. And when you are in a pool and you try to listen to music or something outside of the pool, it's kind of wobbly.
Right.
But the way that they have set up this sound system, they hear it, like to the T every word that they're saying.
Really?
It's
Yeah.
really loud.
Yeah, I have a buddy. We just had a stem cell director on to talk about that. We were talking about Cord Blood. My buddy owns the Cord Blood company I mentioned. He's doing well, and he used to tell us about these underwater speakers in his pool, and we're like, that's the fucking most frivolous bullshit.
Yeah.
Why would you ever get that? That doesn't make any sense. Like, so for the 30 seconds we might be underwater in your pool, we're not missing anything of the FSU game. Like,
Yeah.
and sure enough, it's pretty awesome. Like,
You're like,
Yeah.
I get it now.
totally ate crow on that, and I was like, "This is legit." I kind of want to just sit under here all day with a snorkel mask on.
Yeah, well, when he was talking, I was kind of mulling over in my mind why we don't have more speakers in pools, and I was kind of going through the same thought process. Like, well, it's like, for how long do you have to be underwater to enjoy it?
It'll make you figure out how to go underwater.
Yeah.
Because you're like,
You
the
find a
novelty
way.
of it becomes the attraction almost. You know,
That would be cool if you're exercising, though.
sure.
That's.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
don't like this. I need music if I'm exercising, and if I'm swimming, and I can get some tunes pumped in there. That might change it.
Well, I'm a swimmer, and I've seen like they came up with the pods.
Dude,
but
are
they
waterproof?
yeah.
Oh, I need
So
those.
They're like
I'll come up with a different excuse not to do it, but it's good to know.
my Speedo game is not that great.
So
I only have banana hammocks.
maybe you
Sorry.
should try with a tail and see if
Yeah.
that works out.
Yeah, jeez.
But so y'all went into this just kind of. I'm always interested in documentary process because it seems to me I used to be a huge documentary nerd, like independent movie nerd, because I thought that was a personality, and
It is.
and like in college and whatever. But like
I think you might have insulted them.
no. I think they know where I'm going with that. There's
Yeah,
a
no,
there's
no.
a certain type of guy,
Hipster alert.
right? Like, have you seen this and have you seen this?
Well,
I
that
mean,
was film school in general. It was
Oh
just
man, I
there's
can imagine.
how many people in your class are actually doing it? You know,
a
like
few.
a few
Yeah,
out,
a lot of them
right,
are doing
a
pretty
few,
well.
right. But the other side of them, are they in the business? Are they?
No, but that's pretty. Normal
Those are
with,
those-
with most.
There's a sect of those people I'm talking about that I was part of, where
Oh,
I was a
yeah.
little pretentious and thought I knew, and I never even really been on a set,
Mhm.
only a couple of times. So. That guy in college that's like, have you seen this documentary? It's on
Yeah.
IFC.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
IFC, it's the Independent Film Channel.
Yeah.
You don't have that?
I think that was me too, though. Actually,
I think,
When you're in college,
a little bit.
It's fine.
it still kind of is.
I used to say documentaries were a way for me to learn a lot of stuff because as y'all could see, I'm a bad. I can't read, so this would be. I can listen really well. This is why I kind of a podcast junkie for information that way. And I can listen. I can retain a lot of stuff that way. But as far as sitting down and reading, it takes me a long ass time to do it. And documentaries are almost like a cheat code to go. I don't know anything about this subject. I'm going to get into it.
It's like the Harry Potter movies. You don't have to read the books. You just watch the full thing.
and they're a great way to
But
learn.
no,
about.
yes, you should watch.
Yeah.
You should read
I should.
books.
I should read all 7 Bibles, long books,
I haven't
as
even
an
touched one
adult.
of those things.
But I'm saying like what I do know about the documentary process, and it'd be kind of fun to do one in here. I thought about what we're doing for work, even though it's super boring, but I think we can make it stylized.
Well,
But-
editing is
Right.
always-
Eric's a great editor. John Paul's a great editor. We have the tools here to kind of do something. At least our work, you can't see what we do. So a lot of people just think it's black magic or we're ripping you off because they don't trust the internet services kind of side of stuff. Agencies burn them, all that stuff. Anyway, that I want to say that you go into a documentary with thinking you're going to film about one thing, and then you find something else along the way, usually, right?
Yeah.
Like you thought, did that happen for y'all? Where you went into this documentary going, this is kind of the plan, and then you found this through, like maybe it's the owner who's a badass, maybe it's these other storylines
You know,
that
it's funny because
come to
when-
fruition.
the moment that he came up with the idea,
great question, guys.
he is.
I understood it.
It's a long. I rant. There's a long way to get there, but that's
Did you read that in your?
this is. I'm just making notes to make sure I get back to some of the other stuff.
Yeah. No, so when he came up with the idea, he just explained what the movie is about. But when he first originally said like this is what I want to do, he had not much idea on what specifically. And then when he discovered how many different things he could do, it's hard to pick.
Yeah, I know. I did have I had a general idea which was not as inspirational or feel good as what it is now. And it was a little in my mind it came off a little exploity as well. Cuz to be honest, like a lot of the
Fine line,
performers
huh?
are, young single mothers and and they're not making a ton of money doing it at the park, so it's interesting to kind of juxtapose the realities. In my mind, I thought it'd be a good story to juxtapose harsh realities to this fantasy lifestyle that they're living in real time. Came to find out that that's not necessarily the case. A lot of them are young mothers, but they're all like really smart and they're all in school. They all have like really supportive family, and so that never.
So you
and it
felt
wouldn't-
good, but you were disappointed a little bit.
no, I'm very happy.
Oh, you're all well adjusted.
You're happy. They're happy.
I'm
right?
happy they're happy, and it does. And I think it also would have painted the park with a very broad stroke and a very it would have done a disservice to the park. I found out that there was more to it that had the effect that the draw that I was there because of this draw, and I didn't realize it at the time. But then I kept hearing about it and talking about it. And then we found out about the Legendary Sirens, which is the group of women who performed, 50 years ago, 45 years ago, 30 years ago. And that was like a pleasant surprise. And I decided that was a good story to have. And then parallel that with the current performers learning how to become mermaids and finding where that bond births develops.
Yeah. There's there's other stories that you find out. I wonder, do y'all have you have to make sure you're not, man, there's a lot of documentaries out there that have an angle. Like it used to be about 20 years ago, you felt like you watched documentaries, they try to keep it as even.
It was documented.
Right. There's an
not
implicit
angled
agreement with the audience back in the day a little bit. Not every documentary, obviously, but there's an implicit agreement that they just present the facts and you can kind of make your own choice.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, that's 100% impossible to do because you're going to have some confirmation bias along the way. But were y'all aware of that maybe going into it, that you might have biases that they're not kind of on the forefront. They're not right there. It's a subconscious thing, maybe. We try to keep that in check here. I'll give you a minute to think about it if you want.
I think I understood the question, and I that was the biggest challenge of showing it at Gasparilla, was that a lot of people have a very intimate personal relationship with the park.
Right.
So I can't make your memories on that screen, so I was fearful that I would disappoint people. Because I didn't show it. I didn't go into their minds and show what they thought.
Yeah, it's going to play completely
So that was my
differently here than it will anywhere else. Because he and I both were aware of it. And we have our own stories to tell. So that's. I mean, are you showing it anywhere else?
I haven't. There's kind of a dead zone in festivals right now. So I haven't.
I totally
submitted.
knew that. I know that in festivals.
It's like
I
it's
know
all-
it's festival
yeah, we
years.
do.
And I think it all starts up again in like September.
Yeah, we
There's
just
a
got
couple
over
of songs.
festival season.
Yeah,
so.
me too.
We survived it. But yeah, I'm gonna try to show it at the Coney Island. I would love to do it there
That's cool.
because they have a big mermaid fan base.
Really?
Have you found all the pockets in
Obviously.
America of mermaid fans?
They do
Well,
like
the Coney
Mermaid
Island
Parade.
Mermaid Parade is.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know
Oh,
this.
it's really.
Yeah.
Check it out. It's really bizarre, hedonistic a little bit. Don't bring the kids to
Oh,
it.
really?
No,
But
yeah,
they
bring
do
the
bring the
kids.
kids to it.
Yeah.
You see things that you should.
The
not
hot
be
dog
seeing
eating
with
contest
kids.
is different.
They're like, we got the mermaid festival, then the hot dog eating
It's-
contest. Let's not put these on the same weekend.
It does sound very kid friendly, the Mermaid Parade, but I don't think it is.
It is. It's empowering of women, and also it's people with a lot of glitter and
Body paint.
very little.
Oh,
bathing suits.
glitter's the bridge to get us to like stripper zone kind of thing. That's
Well-
like Key West in my head now.
Yeah.
They do. A lot of clothes comes off, a lot of booze goes in, and
Yeah,
So
but they
it's a
do
good time.
It's a lot of
encourage-
naked, but not the naked you seek out.
it's yeah, basically. I don't know, but
But it
people-
is very encouraging. Like it encourages women to like go there and be okay with their bodies, and
Yeah.
feel free and participate in a community act. And everyone. I mean, I've been to the parade and I've participated like inside. They've called me what is it, seaman?
I think they call it the semen.
Yeah.
I'm not
so-
touching that.
We're seamen, so we're basically
what's
like
so funny.
volunteers who help out these mermaids who do like dances and stuff as they're parading. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Hey, man, look, our gay pride parade comes by this window next Saturday in 6 days or so. So we're all about it because we'll probably try to have super gay party in here.
A lot of booze and
you didn't-
glitter at that one.
I'm just now hearing about
You didn't know
this.
about that idea. I had it on the walk right before this episode started.
Yeah, thanks. You railroad me into this
Well, you
different term in that land.
You brought up banana hammocks and swimming, so
No, it was you.
no, I know. I know. So, as far as the business side of all of this, right? Documentaries are great from a production standpoint in the fact that it literally is sweat equity in a lot of it. It's a lot of time. Hoop Dreams is probably the extreme example of that, where it's 4 years of following these guys. But for y'all, who's involved? Are y'all the main two involved? Did most of it, and kind of just shoestring budget style made it happen?
Yeah, yeah. It kind of all birthed from the fact that I was just kind of sitting around in my house, and I was like, I have a camera, I have a GoPro,
Yeah.
I know how to edit. The park's 20 minutes from my mom's house, so why wouldn't I do this?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
got a place to post up if you're
Yeah.
there for a couple of weeks or months or whatever.
So
and
the
you have the
biggest-
skills to do it too.
Yeah. And the biggest cost was just the flights, and I kept upgrading to first, which was not smart.
Oh,
Which is
you're-
why my budget's bigger than it should have been.
You're impulsive like us. Yeah, there you go. You'd be like, I deserve this.
Yeah, I'm
I've been working hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're a producer now.
Yeah.
I
I
gotta
It's
live the
important too to
life.
say though that like this took 3 years. So,
Oh, okay.
like it's not just like I took a camera and I went down one time. Like
Yeah.
it requires a lot of planning too and permits and
Short-sold
like
myself.
especially like seeing the creative process on like it's not you just go there and film. Like you have to gain the hearts of and the trust of these mermaids. And this is it survived for a reason because they are so protective of their home, their park, that he really had to like go in there and
Schmooze a
basically
little bit.
make them fall in love with him and
Yeah.
let them trust him enough to like go underwater and film. So they don't just do that with everybody.
Sure. They
Yeah.
probably thought you were making fun of them to begin with. I would assume.
They were very cognizant of that.
Yeah.
They were very. That's why it took a long time because there has been a past of reality shows. They did do a reality pilot.
Yep.
But they ended up not doing it because that was back in the day when like reality was just reaching for the lowest common denominator, and it made them look really bad.
AKA I Love New York.
Yeah.
Well,
I love-
was that
I
time.
love New York.
I mean, just permitting alone is a big pain in the dick. Like it, and from your side, what is that like? We talk about being creative, not in the artsy way. Like that's important. Don't get me wrong, but we talk about creative in this office, like the ability to create solutions, and that's all y'all are doing every day, right?
Yeah.
You're throwing a new thing. You're like, this mermaid won't talk to us. Ethel won't talk to us about being a legendary mermaid. How do we get her to do it? We got to find some kind of connection. So she'll kind of let her guard down a little bit and go, hey, we're not, you have final cut, or figure out a way to negotiate in a weird way. On the permitting side, I'm sure that wasn't easy too. Florida's a weird state. So there's always going to be some weird hiccups. Did you have any issues with that?
No.
No?
Well, no, because I think it just started with a conversation. Well, the first thing that they told him when he wanted to start the film, they said, grab a number. Like,
Yeah. Take a number. No,
Joseph
but
told me to ask you about permits, so good job there.
well, no. Okay. Well, here's the thing. I'll tell you why. But first of all,
Blame
I would just want to say the park is
I'm gonna
state owned.
teabag you later.
The park is state owned, and they're just like, yeah, you could shoot here. It's fine.
So the easiest permitting of all time.
That was I'm extraordinarily lucky on that side. But you want to talk to him about permitting because he works for shows like House
Go
Hunters
sit in their corner.
International and all those like house hunting shows on HGTV. So he knows everything about permitting. I know virtually nothing.
yeah,
Oh,
like
okay.
this film wasn't like too difficult, but since I do work at producing like all these like HGTV shows, that is like a completely different game.
Yeah.
And I think that is the difference between like filming a documentary that you're self-funding, as opposed to like a network show that you have to get like all these insurance claims and all this stuff. So it is very different to film, obviously, a documentary or a TV show that's on like everyone's TV.
They also know I didn't have any money. So I
Wow.
don't.
Did you?
And they don't. I don't. They didn't think I was serious either. So they just thought I would come shoot for a day and like they'd never hear from me again. But I
Huh.
came monthly for 2 years. So
that has to be how you built trust with that community. That was
Yeah.
probably pretty guarded.
it was, and it went from the first couple of shoots that I did there. It came from like, okay, I have to be with you whenever you're filming, and I have to let you in this place. You can't go here. You can't go there. And then finally, by like the end of it, I would just like text them and be like, "I'm on my way," and like they'll be like, "Use the employee entrance and have a good time."
That's good.
Yeah.
Did they get
So-
you a tail? One of the mermaid tails?
No, they
Honor-
didn't.
honorable?
We did slap on a tail though at one point, just out of curiosity when I was shooting with some of the younger ones, and it's terrifying.
Yeah, it's scary. I mean, not being able to kick your legs.
It's heavy,
Yeah.
actually.
I mean,
It's very heavy, and they fill with
Yeah.
water, and you forget that. It's like a spongy
oh
material.
yeah.
It's got to be like snowboarding-ish in a way.
It is
when
kind
you
of
put
like
it on, you're like,
snowboarding.
oh shit, oh I'm locked. I
Vices
can't.
attached.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's exactly the feeling. Yeah.
What's
So,
it,
How many hours of footage did you guys end up with?
About 22.
Oh, that's not bad.
No.
I mean, it sounds like you must have had a good plan going in. Then, I mean, were you? I don't know. I guess I'm just curious. I love to hear. It's like people don't think about all that 22 hours of footage going in. They see a 2-hour movie,
Right,
and they're
yeah.
like, "How hard could this have been?"
we
I'm
shot
like, "Yeah,
we've shot
it's a big
sketches
deal."
where you shoot a lot of fat. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
We're used
Yeah,
to
we've
that.
got a 7-minute
Well-
sketch that we filmed for an hour.
I'm kind of from the school of thought of the fly on the wall, verite style
Mhm.
documentaries. So it was just a lot of me hanging out in a corner, filming them, and they just had to ignore me a lot of the time, and they don't like ignoring cameras there, so it was very frustrating. But there's just tons of footage of nothingness. that
Yeah.
you have to comb through, and I also am able to. I'm also aware of what I shot and how it could lead up to something. So in the moment, I know what I'm going to use. So that was really easy. And then you come back later with interviews and you fill the blanks, and then you go back after that, and then you try to get the shots to
Oh, yeah, I've
round it all out.
Yeah, well, I've noticed a lot of directors. They're always, in their mind, they're keeping track. Okay, blah, 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 I'm going to do that, and it's not always shared with everybody.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, just let me figure this out, and I've got it in my mind. Let me do it, and then it comes out. But man, yeah, John Paul's the same way. Like he's always like, I know which shot I got. He knows which one it was, which take it was, that sort of thing. It's like, oh,
You'd have to be Rain Man to like go down the.
you turn
the
into
whole
Rain
thing.
Man.
A little
You
bit.
just
You
do
have
it.
to, but
Yeah.
yeah.
There's a shot of a girl who ducks her head underwater, and then the next shot is the continuation of it. But there's like a year difference between those two
Oh
moments.
wow, yeah,
So
Huh.
yeah.
Yeah, because you got to piece it together somehow.
Yeah. and I knew that I wanted it, and I knew that what I had wasn't working, so I just had to. Nothing was directed really in that film except for maybe 1 or 2 scenes, and those were the times.
Huh. So are you doing interview style? Or are you doing narrative?
It's a mix of interview and verite.
Okay. I don't know what verite is.
Oh, just like fly on the wall.
Remember, I'm a pretty dumb guy.
Okay.
So I'm a smart
It's
dumb
like
guy.
voice-
I'm
Your
the
porn.
pretentious. I'm the pretentious film.
No,
school
no, you're
kid, so-
not. I feel like I should know that word.
and I'm probably using it wrong.
No, I don't. Look, I don't know. I mean, there's.
We like to learn.
I'm finding out every word I've ever said has a different meaning. Like like figuratively means literally, or literally means figuratively now.
What?
Look up Webster's.
I know what those words mean, though.
But it means the opposite now. Like I don't know. Like the way language has been.
I think the vernacular is changing the meaning of
Yeah,
those words.
I could understand by intent most of the time though.
Yeah.
When you're talking about it, I just was like, oh shit.
So do I have to start saying figuratively?
No.
I
Stand your ground. We're using
little.
literally the way it's supposed to be used and figuratively the way it's supposed to
Okay,
be used. We're not
Dad.
going back.
There is a
That's your dad's way of doing
hate
that,
that.
bro.
Oh,
there's a
literally
cultural
did
pushback on things like that right now, where people are really forcing
you
each
should
other.
I
just
think
to
it's
Excellent.
fucked. I think it's really bad. I don't
We've got no frame of reference for anything anymore.
exactly.
That's the problem.
We're not as good communicators as we think we are. I think all these devices, all these methods and platforms to communicate has made us fucking way worse. And now we've gone back to the point where emojis are now the universal language. Do you
How
know
did we
that?
get here?
Seriously, that's that.
I
They
mean-
consider that we went from hieroglyphics to this other shit, and then back to hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
Essentially,
Well, I mean, they were the best way to do it.
that's a high
You know,
thought
that's
for you
right.
guys. I'm not even stoned, but I
Yeah.
thought of that high.
I
heard it before
want to
it
go
was
back
a
and
shoot.
bridge the gap between mermaids and
Go for it.
no, I mean, like when I listen to this, like, how did we get to this part of the conversation from mermaids?
Oh, yeah, you guys have definitely never listened to the show. It might as well be called Tangent Highway.
Yeah.
But
Write that down.
the thing is, all right, so you got everything in the can. The editing process is rough because that's
Yeah.
excruciating. It's almost your own worst enemy kind of deal where you're like, have I been looking at this too long? Like it's did
Yeah.
you get in that zone?
Definitely. And there was there's a scene. I finished it initially. I finished the first draft about a year ago, and I took it to the Marché du Film at Cannes, and we showed it there, and it got good reception. But there was one scene in particular that enraged people. They hated it, and
What was that?
I loved it. It's a scene where one of the characters is kind of talking to himself in a mirror. So I thought of it as this really like nice moment of
Self-reflection.
introspection and
Mhm.
like coming to terms with things. Um, but it was like it just took people out
But was was he really doing this? He was-
Yes,
okay.
this is
See, that's
real.
the thing is people, because you see that on a TV show, you're like, nobody does that.
Yeah.
It's like if it's real, that's different.
Well, he's
But
talking to me. He's talking to me to the camera through a mirror as he's
I
putting
got
on
you. You're
makeup.
over his shoulder.
Or yeah,
Did
through
it-
a mirror.
Do you feel it's cooked? Like it was set up almost?
No, they his story isn't like, I don't want to ruin anything, but whatever. His story isn't like a happy ending, I guess, per se. But so like it felt like it was a little bit sadistic on his part, like really just dragging
Oh.
him through it. Like his story was over at one point, so like end it. But I had this other really long scene that I really, really loved, and it just after I really fought to keep it in there. But we call it shooting the baby,
Yeah.
killing the baby. So like
Yeah.
I had to,
Got to
to
be
kill
willing
my
to get rid of
baby.
all of it.
yeah.
It's tough. What do you decide? Here's an influential audience that's giving you basically market research,
Yeah,
right, on it.
that's what festivals really are.
Yeah, but
So-
are they the tastemakers? Is what you have to ask yourself. That obviously it sounded like they are, but I'm saying like sometimes I do this with comedy a lot of the time. There's a lot of stuff where you can talk about on stage where you're like, this will get a laugh. I don't know if I love it, but it's working
I
for
loved
this
it.
audience
Yeah.
in a way. I don't know. It's tough to go, I know better, and I'm going to do this joke that's a little bit it's not like
It's not obvious.
Yeah,
I
It's
do
not
the
polished.
food truck joke. I want to open a food truck with an anti-rape campaign, and everybody gets stuck on the rape part.
yeah.
So I had to add to it. Well,
I get stuck on the rape part.
no, everybody does
the
because they're zoned out and they don't know who I am. So
Can't really talk
and
about
they're-
raping right now. So
well, it's
bad
an
time to talk about raping.
It's anti-rape.
yeah.
So
well,
I-
obviously, we just
I said anti-rape, so that's why I have to slow down and say it again. I go, we're all anti-rape in here, and then
Yeah.
everyone's like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah. And then if there's no silence, I go, right? Are we fucking? We're not down for that, right? So it kind of wakes everybody up,
Yeah.
and then I
Yeah.
go, it's a food truck called Empanada means nada. Do you have the sound?
They don't have headphones on, so it's not the same. You can't hear my
Oh,
sound
you don't-
effects.
Okay.
Does it sound like an empanada?
it's like no means no kind of.
Yeah, you
play
have
on
to have
words.
pun to have a food truck.
And you have to be
name.
bilingual for that one. So you're know.
See, and
No.
Renee didn't laugh. But I'm saying like
He said
I'm
he's-
saying what I'm saying is I know that's a good joke because of the audiences and the frequency I've done it
Yeah.
over time. I know that's good for stage, not so much in a podcast studio,
Yeah.
but like I know that's a good joke, even if the crowd isn't super paying attention, or it's a different kind of like, let's call it an alt comedy room. If when I go to New York, sometimes I do those, and because I say y'all, I can see it like, oh, this guy's Southern. Fuck this guy. I've seen it. I've heard the feedback out off stage,
Yeah.
but I'm saying like
Shirts aren't helping either.
what? Well, I wear rodeo shirts because you can ball them up, and then doesn't matter if they're
Oh, they're
wrinkled.
Yeah.
So it's that's a utility
Rodeo
thing.
shirt.
But I
No.
think to like
Pearl
compliment
snap
what you're-
rodeo.
Oh, I got it.
like compliment what you're saying too, though. Like editing yourself is like so hard, and the fact that ideally we would obviously would get like a lot of funding and have somebody else edit your film.
Well, we had
Which
an
is-
editor.
Yeah, but
So
we did. But like that
Yeah.
was hard to find. It was not easy. And how do you give your baby to someone that you don't know if you trust? So like
And finding the right style, like
Yeah,
there's a
exactly.
big match
well, I was
that has
over
to
her
be
shoulder
made.
the entire time.
Yeah.
So I
Or that.
basically
Yeah.
edited it. No, but like with that comment about the people who watch it and like you gauge the crowd. Like my film school friends loved the scene. But they may have been giving me lip service.
That's
And then
there's some bias there.
yeah.
Right?
And then the people who didn't go to film school hated it. So there was kind of like this, unwashed masses kind of ideology I had.
And then
a
you have to
little
really
bit.
make a decision. We're like, fuck,
Yeah.
I like this, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's not that kind of movie. It was strategically in a bad place, and then read the room. Like everybody really just doesn't like it. So I had to like
What's the cost benefit? Does
Yeah.
it improve it if the people who like it, do they really like it so much
Yeah.
more? Or the worst thing is being confusing or like kind of middle of the road. It doesn't add anything. And like It only takes away.
Yeah.
And so you have to. That's a hard decision to make, and it sounds like that's a mature decision to make.
Yeah,
to
I
take
felt
it
really,
out.
really proud of myself when I decided to take
Don't
it out.
You want to
I
put
pat
that out there,
myself
like,
on the
hey
back.
guys, look at
had
me.
a bottle of wine.
I'm an adult.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think I was pushing for it out.
yeah, you wanted it out,
Yeah.
but he's unwashed, so you know.
Did you sit?
I have
in-
no filter. I have to tell him how I feel about, obviously, I
That's
don't
what
think
you
that
want.
should
If you're a
make
I
it.
think-
part, I
yeah,
mean, you
yeah.
have to be.
Yeah.
If you're dancing around, you don't get anything done.
The only reason we work well together is because there isn't a filter of say is like that's douchey thing to
we
do.
don't care about each other's
Right.
feelings.
Yeah.
Right. It's like an Asperger's office in here. Like just like whatever's going on, it's
Yeah.
gonna be said.
Yeah.
Plus you're busy. That's the other thing. Everything's shorthand, right? You're in a rush. It sounds like you guys probably you did this in between gigs, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of
I
people
mean,
don't
I
realize
did.
that.
No, I this is full time.
Well,
Yeah, he did.
I guess it sounded like he was doing more like you get picked up to associate produce or whatever. I don't know the titles necessarily, but like you're going on this show, and then flew in to help with this, and then came back out. That was my guess.
Did you guys watch the movie, with the audience?
That's a
watch
funny
the
question,
audience.
because
I did at Cannes, and it was the worst experience of my life.
Yeah,
He-
I mean,
he didn't want to see it this time.
I've seen it enough.
I know, me too.
And then, like,
but,
Also, just people walk out at festivals because
Sure.
there's a lot of meetings to do, a lot of other screenings and stuff like that. Not so much here. This festival isn't as robust as the other ones, but I sat in at the Cannes one, and people walked in and out, and it was just like
it's hard not to take it
heartbreaking.
personally.
Yeah, and like my friend is a really successful producer in the Netherlands who's showing at Tribeca this year. And she was just prepping me for like people are gonna walk out. It's not because they hate it. It's because they have things to do. And I was like, yeah, totally. And they're walking out. I'm just like, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah.
Like fuck this movie.
I
Like, throw it
focus on
away.
the one person with their arms folded in a show, and
Yeah.
it's like, why the fuck do I do that?
Yeah.
This isn't for them. They don't know. They just went to a comedy club.
Yeah.
They don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But this time it was amazing because we
Nobody walked out.
well we also had like the mermaids there, so like
Oh, that's
everyone was
cool.
so excited, and and it's scary too because the people that we film like are in the theater watching it, so you don't know what they're thinking, and the fact that they're so proud and they speak so highly of the movie that they're in means that they're happy with the results.
That's good.
I did take a moment to like just stand there in the corner at the entrance and just like look at people's faces during parts of the film, and I could see them visually reacting positively to scenes that I wanted them to. They laughed at stuff. They cried, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's important.
Yeah.
It's not easy to do.
Yeah.
I mean that.
But then I went back down and had another glass of wine, and I came back up and checked to make sure the movie was still going on.
I got to talk to in here.
That face wasn't facey enough. I'm gonna go have wine. Yeah.
She wasn't nodding aggressively enough for that scene.
right. Yeah. What you're not going to get extreme reactions on a documentary probably because it is a slow burn as
Yeah.
an audience member in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like you're going in expectation of watching a documentary isn't like Def Jam comedy audience. Like,
Yeah.
Where it's like there's going to be people rolling out of the seat.
It's a certain kind of person who goes to documentaries and watches them. Like, if you don't like documentaries, like, you're not going to like it, I guess. But
Those are the walker outers.
Yeah. They're hard to watch sometimes.
Is the key now to get on Netflix to get that exposure? Is this it? On the business side of this, I think Netflix likes documentaries and comedy specials because they're cheap to produce. So that cost gets passed on when they pick it up. Is that the ultimate now? I mean, there's so many places where it can go, I guess.
Yeah. No, I don't know yet.
I guess do you want it to be found more than
Well, at this point it's made, so yes,
Yeah,
we
but be
want it.
found like we talk about like SEO wise, you want to be found
At
if
the end
you're
of
a
the
business
end
online.
of the whole process, I wanted to I would love for it to just like find a home on Netflix. I hear they're very aggressive and like it's you can't really like barter with them.
Yeah, they dictate the market. They're Google.
Yeah.
That's why I use that kind of SEO kind of comparison because SEO is all Google based. Netflix basically controls the streaming market essentially.
Yeah.
They won't forever because it sounds like they're all breaking up. On
It's
the
it's becoming
production
like
houses.
a cable network now, except for it's all
Yeah.
streaming programs.
Well, there are a lot of platforms these days, like Hulu and Amazon is getting into that too. So I feel like
They all want content.
they all
Original content.
Want, yeah.
I would like to actually sell it to airlines first before I do any
good
of that.
call.
That's
Yeah.
That's a good
So-
business move.
Yeah.
I like that.
Seriously.
I mean, those
So-
are the things you got to think about. Like, where can you be unique? And
Yeah.
that's
So I
perfect.
think it would like do really well on flights on Delta to Florida. People are looking for things to do.
Or just on any flight, really, like because you're kind of those TVs in the back of the. God damn it! I was on a flight
You're held hostage.
from Miami
There we go.
the other day. It's like, so the fucking guy behind you that doesn't know how to use the touchscreen. It's like, bro, it's not a goddamn keyboard. Like you don't have to go boom
Yeah.
and like push it so aggressively. It's like racking my seat. I
Yeah.
don't-
That was me on the flight back from Italy for like 8 hours. This woman's like punching the back of my seat. I'm like,
She's like, I'm
I'm like, are you
Italian,
mad
what
at
do
me?
you want me to do?
I'm just having a conversation back here.
I'm not even hitting the touchscreen. I'm just talking. My hands fly out.
I just couldn't tell if she was mad. I didn't want to make a scene.
Yeah,
And I
you
was
can't
like,
tell
We're
when
gonna have a
Italian
rough
women-
8 hours, lady.
Yeah. Is there wine on this? Can I get wine? A whole bottle of wine? But like that thing, that's really smart. You're thinking about it in that context, I think, where it's like, you're gonna go for the bigger stuff like Netflix, Hulu, whatever it is. But if you're like, hey, maybe there's this like niche way to get it to kind of people are on a flight, and some movies you have to pay for on those usually. Some are like you can just watch this documentary for free. That's really smart. It's really savvy, I
Yeah.
think. Is there any other kind of things y'all are trying to get it around?
I want to just do a little bit more festivals, maybe like one or two more festivals, just to get more feedback.
Uh-huh.
And I would like to see what the Florida people think. People who saw it in France liked it. People who see it in New York, they feel compelled to come down and experience the park now. They think it's a really interesting story. So.
This might be your toughest audience. This
yeah,
close.
that's what I
mean,
think.
You know,
But
It's
it
good,
really is
but-
so interesting to see like people here like they have heard a little bit of what a mermaid is. When you explain what this movie is about to someone, they're like, "Wait, somebody actually puts a tail and pretend that they're a mermaid?" They think it's nuts. But
Right.
the whole point is that these people have hearts and dreams, and they're the sweetest people you will ever meet. And the storylines that we put in the movie, it's they really transcend through the screen, and you can be inspired to be a better person. So you should watch a movie like
it's awesome.
this.
But
Yeah.
talking about on the business side of it, like getting money for documentaries is very hard,
I'm sure.
and they
'Cause
don't sell that
The
for that
investors,
much.
I look at it like the old curmudgeon. It's all about ROI. What's the ROI on this? I
Yeah.
put money in. What am I going to get out of it? And what's the risk? I
Yeah.
want mitigated risk on every project, right?
Yeah, and if somebody doesn't die, they don't want to pay for it. So, like, it has to be like a really intense story, and this isn't an intense
Oh, interesting.
story.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
think about that.
So a lot
either.
of people are just like it's a profile piece in part, and so that like
You're like this one guy in the mirror might kill himself. I don't know.
yeah, we'll have to check back.
It's teetering. I could push him in a direction.
It's a
I
living
guess, but I don't
documentary.
know.
No,
This
you
is a new brand.
watch if you watch the documentary, you'll see that this guy loves life, and he's not. He would never do anything.
No,
like that.
I'm totally kidding. We got to end it out here
Yeah,
because
thanks for
you
having
guys have more
Yeah,
stuff to
thanks
do,
for
I
having
think.
us.
But thanks for coming
Yeah,
by.
thanks, guys. Really appreciate
watch
it.
the
What
movie.
about my
Thanks for
sweat
having
equity?
Yeah, we'll put the links in the podcast episode description. Hit it up. Donate to the documentary.org link we put in there if you
Yeah,
want
stuff's
to
expensive.
get out there. And thanks for coming on.
SweatEquityPod.com.
Sweat equity.